Spectacular achievement is always preceded by unspectacular preparation. A very good evening to one and all present here, dignitaries on the dais. I, Shreya Kulkarni,
And I, Khushi Kataria,
take this opportunity to welcome everyone for the valedictory function of the 11th MK Nambyar Memorial National Level Moot Court Competition. One song can change a moment, one idea can change the world, but a prayer can change the impossible. Now, I call upon Miss Sneha Kulkarni to sing the prayer song.
जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, शरणागत प्रतिपालनारी, शरणागत प्रतिपालनारी, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, चन्द्रबिम्ब समवदन विराजे, चन्द्रबिम्ब समवदन विराजे, शीशमुकुटमाला गलधारी, शीशमुकुटमाला गलधारी, वीणा वामांग में शोभे, वीणा वामांग में शोभे, सामगीत ध्वनि मधुर पियारे, सामगीत ध्वनि मधुर पियारे, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, श्वेतवसन कमलासन सुन्दरी, श्वेतवसन कमलासन सुन्दरी, संघ सखी शुभ्र हंस विराजे, संघ सखी शुभ्र हंस विराजे, ब्रह्मानंद में दास तुम्हारी, ब्रह्मानंद में दास तुम्हारी, दे दर्शन पर ब्रह्म दुलारी, दे दर्शन पर ब्रह्म दुलारी, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, शरणागत प्रतिपालनारी, शरणागत प्रतिपालनारी, जय जगदीश्वरी माता सरस्वती, जय जगदीश्वरी, जय जगदीश्वरी, जय जगदीश्वरी।
Thank you, Sneha.
Now, I request our respected principal, Dr. A.H. Havaldar Sir, to welcome the August gathering.
A very good evening, all present here. Respected chief guest of the today's function, Professor Sandeep Desai, Dean, Faculty of Law, PES University, Bangalore. And more than that, he is my good friend. Respected President of the function, Sri S.V. Ganachari, Professor Ashwini Parab Madam, Moot Court Coordinator, respected counselors on the days and off the days, and my colleagues and Moot judges for the final round, Sri Gangadhar Askeri sir, all the invitees, guests, and more importantly, the participants who joined online. In fact, today I will not take much time to go for the history of this great RL Law College, because we are having the guest today. He is like a more of a host than the guest. Technically, today he is a guest, but he was with us in the same institution for around 8 years as the faculty of this Rajalakam Law College. And one more great thing, in fact, I actually thought to share it on this days only. That is, today we are having this 11th MK Nambyar Moot Court competition. That is, it was initiated, and he was the first moot coordinator for the MK Nambyar Moot Court competition. Respected sir, whatever you have created, we are moving ahead. It's not exaggerating to say now, this MK Nambyar Moot Court competition has raised to the level that every institution in the country would love to participate in this competition. On behalf of the management, RL Law College family, students, I wholeheartedly welcome for this valedictory function of MK Nambyar Moot Court competition, sir. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome today's president, Sri S.V. Ganachari, Chairman Governing Council RL Law College. What to say? He is the backbone of this institution. Always he is there for every activity. On this occasion, on behalf of the entire management, staff, and the student, I wholeheartedly welcome for this valedictory function, sir. I welcome Professor Ashwini Parab, coordinator for this MK Nambyar 11th National Level Moot Court, and almost we are now about to complete this event in a grand success. Welcome, madam. I also welcome the counselors of this RL Law College. In fact, if anybody in the entire nation think about any counselors of this, any of the institution, the role model is RL Law College. And for that, without the counselors, we could do nothing. And I welcome all the counselors of this institution, this prestigious college. On behalf of the management, I welcome you all. I also welcome my colleagues who had worked behind the scene. For the last almost 1 month, the preparation is going on, sir. With their tireless effort and support, today we could be about to complete this MK Nambyar competition. I wholeheartedly welcome my colleagues of this RL Law College. And I also welcome the participants who are joined virtually for this event. On behalf of the management, I welcome you all for this valedictory function of this MK Nambyar 11th Moot Court competition. I also welcome print and press media, invitees, judges for this national level Moot Court competition, judging the event. I welcome you all for this valedictory function, sir. Last but not the least, that is my student volunteers. Without them, nothing is possible. Nothing is possible. It's because of entire work. I must wholeheartedly welcome all the staff and the technical team, particularly Professor Waxer, Satish Anikindi, student code. How can I forget this event? Because it's the first time we're experiencing this virtual competition. And I wholeheartedly, on behalf of the management and the faculty, I welcome you all for this event of this MK Nambyar. I know that always the teacher must not be given a days. If you permit, you go on speak hours together without any break. I know that it's an important event. The participants are eagerly waiting to know their results. So with this, I conclude welcome speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I call upon Ms. Shama Bhatt, Student Councillor, to introduce the chief guest of today's function, Dr. Sandeep S. Desai, Professor and Dean, Faculty of Law, PES University, Bengaluru.
A very good evening to one and all present here. As rightly quoted by Douglas MacArthur, General, US Army, a true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to take the needs of others. The chief guest of today's function is one such leader. I am profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce the chief guest of today's function, Professor Dr. Sandeep S. Desai, sir, Dean, Faculty of Law, PES University, Bengaluru. Sir has many qualifications to his credit. He secured 5th rank to the state in PUC. He is a gold medalist in political science in BA from KUD in 1991. He completed his LLB from KUD in 1994, LLM in labor law from KUD in 2000, and a PhD on the impact of IPRs on Indian agricultural sector in 2010. He was a full-time lecturer at RL Law College, Belagavi from 2002 to 2009. He also served as the associate professor at the School of Law at Christ, deemed to be university, from 2010 to 2017. Presently, Sir is a professor and dean at the Faculty of Law, PES University, Bengaluru. Sir has a lot of accomplishments to his cap. Some of his achievements are: he was invited as a member of the task force on legal education, Government of Karnataka. He was a member, Board of Studies, Bangalore University and KSOU, expert PhD Viva Voce in NLSIU, Bengaluru. He also is a resource person for ATI, Mysuru, NLSIU, Bengaluru, CMDR, Dharwad, and UGC refresher courses. He is also a researcher for Justice Malimat Committee on Criminal Law Reforms. He also headed a major research project on health law in India. Sir has over 25 years of academic and professional experience, and his articles are published in leading journals. He also has around 6 years of experience as a practitioner in high courts, especially in writ petitions. It is our privilege to have you, sir, as the chief guest of today's function. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you, Shama. Now, I request Shri S.V. Ganachari, Advocate, Chairman, Governing Council, RN Law College, Belagavi, to honor the chief guest of today's function, Dr. Sandeep S. Desai. Thank you, sir.
Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Priyanka Rathi, Student Councillor, to introduce the President of the function, Shri S.V. Ganachari, Advocate, Chairman, Governing Council, RL Law College, Belagavi.
Shri Sudhindra Ganachari was born on 27 December 1971. He completed his graduation in science from GSS College, Belagavi, and he did his LLB from this prestigious institution, Raja Lakamgowda Law College, Belagavi. He has been practicing as an advocate in Belagavi since February 1998 on the civil side. Sir's expertise lies in transfer of property, land acquisition, and insurance related matters. He is also a legal advisor to Hindalco, LIC of India, Bank of Baroda, Syndicate Bank, Catholic Syrian Bank, various cooperative societies, and Swami Vivekanand Seva Pratisthana. Sir is badminton enthusiast and also interested in Indian classical music. Sir became the member of Karnataka Law Society on 23rd October 2016. At present, he is the Chairman Governing Council RL Law College Belagavi, and he is playing a dynamic role for the development of our prestigious college. Indeed, it is a matter of great pride to have him amongst us as the president of today's function. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. Now, I request the respected principal, Dr. A.H. Havaldar Sir, to honor the president of today's function, Shri S.V. Ganachari. Thank you, sir.
Now, I request the chief guest of today's function, Dr. Sandeep S. Desai, Professor and Dean, PES University, to address the August gathering.
Very good evening to one and all. Honorable President of this function, Shri S.V. Ganachari, Advocate and Chairman Governing Council of RL Law College. Respected Principal and my dear friend, Dr. Anil Havaldar. Wag sir, Hegde sir, because we are used to call them like that only. There is no professor associated with that. It's a feeling more than that. And of course, my other colleagues at that time, Professor Prasanna Kumar, Professor B.G. Patil, Professor Madhuri, and some of others who are not here today. Let me recall them also. Then, of course, those who judge the finals along with me, we have, of course, Shri Gangadhar Hoskeri, advocate, right now in the audience. As your principal said, this lovely team of student counselors who have, I think, got the baton passed on to them from their seniors. And when we were working here, we also had the occasion to select student counselors, and there used to be a lot of tough competition as to how they could become student counselors. I believe that has continued unabated. I do not know your names personally, but it's really appreciable that you have been doing a great job here. Miss Ashwini Parab, who was unfortunately my student. Unfortunate for her, not for me. And it's really lovely to know that she has become a faculty here, because right from the beginning at that time, we had thought that she would make a good teacher at one point of the time. One thing that Anil Havaldar sir probably wanted me only to express is this. It's really a sort of homecoming for me. I am overwhelmed and overjoyed on two accounts. One is, as he mentioned, that we were colleagues here, and it's really a homecoming for me. Another thing is that both my wife and I started our careers from this college. Both of us were teachers here, right from the day one in 2002 when we stepped onto the portals of this college. Probably I relish the time I spent in RL Law College to a great extent, because after RL Law College, my wife and I did not get to serve in the same college anywhere else. This was the only college which allowed that. By and large, if you go to other universities and other colleges, they usually say spouses are not allowed. And that happened for me when I joined in Christ, and consciously we took a decision that we won't be there in the same university again. Same is the case with my present university. It's the same policy. But I am happy to share with all of you that she is now principal of Bangalore Institute of Legal Studies in Bangalore. I am mentioning only because whatever we are today, me as the dean, she as the principal, the entire credit goes to RL Law College. Had the management of RL Law College not provided that opportunity in 2002 to both of us, I think we would not have come here together. Maybe at that time only she would have had to go to some other college, but fortunately it did not happen. And I am really indebted to management of RL Law College for having given us, both of us, that opportunity. It would be really wrong on my part if I do not remember the members of the management of that time, Shri S.M. Kulkarni, Shri Amar Kulkarni, Shri A.G. Kulkarni, the three chief members of that time, and of course our very dynamic principal at that time, Professor D.Y. Kulkarni. They were great days, and I'm really happy to know that Professor Anil Havaldar and Shri S.V. Ganachari and their entire team has taken RL Law College to greater heights. When we were here, only this old building was there, where your all classes do happen even now. And of course, the administrative block. And I am visiting RL Law College nearly after 11 years, because as Sir said, that was the first moot court when I had come here again, just within a span of 3-4 months after leaving RL Law College. And at that time, I was told that there is a blueprint coming up for a huge auditorium and a good moot court hall and other amenities. I'm really indeed elated to see that they have lived up to their expectations and gone beyond. I had never really imagined that the infrastructure provided in RL Law College would have been of this stature and of this world class. Kudos to all of you, sir, and congratulations to all of you for this wonderful environment that you have given the students here. Well, having said that, of course, let me not forget, as sir said again, this is your first virtual experience in mooting. And even in these distressed times, you have continued the tradition in a blended mode, virtual as well as physical. This very function is testimony to the fact that you have not been deterred by the unprecedented circumstances that we are all going through. Again, I must congratulate Shri S.V. Ganachari sir, because he was mentioning just a while back that sometime a thought had crossed our minds that could we defer this event for some time. But steadfastly they said they would do it, and they have done it. And once again, a big congratulations. And it's not only just that, it is the fact is that you all have gathered here today still with the COVID virus staring in our faces, but you have weathered that storm. And I must congratulate you all, especially the student volunteers, because without you, no institutions can run, right? We can, whether you go to this university, that university, any college, without students, well, no institutions can imagine to run. So especially for all of you, it's really a matter of great pride for me that once I was a part and parcel of this great institution. It is indeed great. I'm not just saying it just to say in front of the management or my dear friend Havaldar or any of you. It is indeed great for one reason, at least, which should immediately come to our minds. It's a college which is in existence since 1939. In a time when colleges of 5 to 10 years would just wind up without notice, having an institution, a society from last around 80 years now, 82, it's not a joke. And it is not just there, it is improving day by day, adding many feathers to its cap. And I'm really happy that once upon a time I was also a part of this. So thank you very much. Now, as again sir said, I am again happy because of that second count that I was sort of instrumental, sort of a catalyst for having brought this moot court competition to RL Law College at that time in 2009. Havaldar sir and I had envisioned that it would grow to a greater extent, and it has indeed done. So on both these counts, I am extremely happy. So at this juncture, I feel that it would not be out of place for me if I share a few of my views and thoughts on mooting or on profession or on students, or all rolled into one. I am reminded of William Shakespeare's quote in Henry VI, Act 6, wherein he says, through a character, the first thing we do, let us kill all the liars. Right? And if Shakespeare says that, you cannot take it lightly also. The first thing we'll do, let us kill all the liars. It's a hugely controversial statement. Some people have explained that in terms of the feudalistic and oligarchic setup which was present at his time in the 15th century, 16th century. But many others have actually praised Shakespeare for coming out with this quote, because they explain that that is how resolutely lawyers stood as a stumbling block in front of the greedy and mean rulers of the time. And but for those lawyers, things would not have improved from then on. So naturally, protagonists of Shakespeare's theory, of his idea, of his quote, they shower praise on him for having brought lawyers into that center stage, into that particular limelight. And we all know what a crucial role lawyers have all been playing along during our freedom struggle. After that, Constituent Assembly debates, then formation of the government, and even until today, what a crucial role all lawyers are performing. Thus, it is very pertinent to note that you all should consider yourselves lucky. We all should consider ourselves lucky that we are the legatees of this great profession, noble profession. Please note, in the world there are only two professions. One is medicine, another is law. All others are occupations. True professions are only two, law and medicine. And again, law occupies a higher place in that. That's why Ganachari sir would be able to tell us better. In olden times, lawyers never had pockets, right? They had some sort of pouches behind on the gown or whatever they used to wear at that time, so that the clients would pay whatever they want. That is the nobility of the profession. Lawyers never demanded. If at all they demanded only one thing, and that is freedom to speak. And that is envisioned, embedded in Section 30 of the Advocates Act also, that lawyers can practice in any court or tribunal as a matter of right. You don't need the permission of the court. That's why in the morning I asked in the finals, the very first question I asked the one of the mooters is, do you really need the permission of this court? They needed the permission of this court for some time, until Section 30 was enforced some time back. Till then, yes, because it was a gray area. The section was there, but it was not enforced. It has been enforced now. You don't need any permission. It is your right to be lawyers. But the problem is, they say law is common sense made difficult. And if we look into some of our statutes, codes, I think we have to grudgingly accept the fact that it is common sense made difficult, especially the legal language. That's why in their wisdom, different scholars, academics, introduced a subject called legal language itself to understand the nuances of law. I'll just give you a small example of how it might be made difficult. I think some of you must be knowing about this anecdote where a teacher and a student in ancient Greece had a quarrel with regard to the payment of fees for having taught him law. It's called Protagoras paradox. Protagoras, a celebrated law teacher, was requested by Euthylus, a student interested in learning law. Then he said that he was not in a position to pay any fees. So they arrived at an agreement to the effect that after his law studies are over, once this student will win his first case, he will pay the fees to his teacher. Whatever studies were there for him to be completed, he did that, but the fellow did not go to practice at all, like some of us. Then this teacher got irritated. See, you can tolerate it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but the student is not mentioning anything about fees. The teacher got irritated. He summoned him. He said, pay me my fees. The chap said, but I have not won my case at all. Then the teacher felt, okay, so you are trying to teach a lesson to me. I will teach you a lesson. He went to the court and filed a case, claiming fees from the student. And then said if I win this case, I will get my fees, because the matter is about payment of fees, right? If I win this case, I'll get my fees. If I lose this case, still I will get the fees, because the student would have won his case, first case. The student said, well, I am your student. If I win this case, I won't pay you a dime, because the judge's verdict would be not to pay you. Then only he will win the case, or it is tantamounting to winning the case. And if I lose the case, I won't pay you, because I have not won my first case. A simple matter which could have been settled by today's ADR, they complicated it. Of course, many people have suggested many solutions to this, but none of them is universally accepted. If you just concentrate on those lines, you will realize how difficult it is to treat this agreement. That's why law is sometimes very common sense, but made difficult because of the various drafting skills the students, the lawyers have. So then what do you need as a student to excel, as a student of law, as a lawyer at a later stage? What do you actually need? What you need is a strong hold on facts. If you do not have right facts in your hands, any sort of eloquence you have, any kind of flourish language you use, any kind of pompous show you put up in the court, they won't win you the cases. You must first have a strong grip on the facts. And if you think that your facts are not quite clear enough, you will have to try and ascertain certain factual situations that could help improve your factual scenario. If you are serious students of jurisprudence, there are two tests to determine the ratio of a case. Professor Wambaugh's test and Professor Goodhart's material facts test. Just try and understand why Professor Goodhart says not just facts. He uses the term material facts, because there may be hundreds of facts with you, but all of them might not be material. So if you do not have all those material facts at your disposal, then what you should do? That is what Brandeis brief tells you to do. Justice Brandeis of the US Supreme Court, who was practicing before he was elevated, was once given a very tough case, in the sense Justice Brandeis was usually a corporate lawyer. He always fought on behalf of the companies. But suddenly he was presented with a case involving a laborer, an area which he had never dwelt in. But being a good lawyer he couldn't reject that. He took up the case, but found it difficult to appreciate the case in its perspective, because a very literal reading of the law in question was against the laborer. But Justice Brandeis did not lose hope. It is at that time when he started collecting, which what we today call statistics, facts. He started collecting information about the welfare of laborers. What were the different labor welfare legislations? How the economics affects that? How the companies are faced with difficulty when paying the laborers, so on and so forth. He accumulated a ton of material from different sources and presented it before the Supreme Court in the state of Oregon. The case is Mueller versus Oregon. The Supreme Court was stunned, because for the first time it came face to face with a brief which, apart from the law, had other things also to it which could support Brandeis' brief. That's why it is legendarily called Brandy's Brief. And what was there in Brandy's Brief? It is nothing but what you today consider and file as public interest litigations or social action litigations. This is precisely what Justice Holmes said. Life of law has never been logic, but it is one of experience. Justice Brandeis infused experience into his brief and successfully argued before the court. Look, here is a case, if you look into literal interpretation of which would definitely deny relief to the workman. But if you consider this entire compendium, you will see to yourself that this person needs the relief which he is seeking for. The court was convinced, and from then on, it started a movement in the US of not considering the literal meaning of the law, or not just the literal meaning of the law, but also known as the liberal meaning of the law, or what we today speak of or study in interpretation of statutes. Ascertainment of not just the text or letter of the law, but spirit of the law. So unless we all can understand the spirit of the law, there is no point in simply arguing. As I said, argument is fine. Eloquent language is fine. Bombastic words are great, but they will not give you relief. I must mention at this juncture that RL Law College has successfully sent out several law graduates. Some of them became Chief Justices of this country, like Justice E.S. Venkatramaya. Then, of course, Justice Dr. V.S. Malimat. And some of them occupied very high political positions also, former Chief Minister S.R. Bommai, so on and so forth. And of course, this entire building, this hall, in whose memory it is etched there, M.K. Nambyar, his son was a student here, the present Attorney General for India, K.K. Venugopal. All of them and their statues that have gone out. Well, they all must have appreciated when they have gone out of this college what a strong grip over the fundamentals of law this college has given them. I am still reminded, just to quote two things. Professor D.Y. Kulkarni, the former principal, when we were having a chat over tea, when I was a faculty here, I was just inquiring with him as to how he manages to roam around the world. Some of you who have not met him or seen him do not know this. But he must have at least roamed about half of the world. More than 50 countries he has seen. And I asked him why. He gave me one pertinent answer. He said, Sandeep, if you do not go to United Nations, watch the proceedings, and then come back and teach here international law, you are not an international law teacher at all. What is the point in reading Stark and then telling the students, well, there is what is known as United Nations Organization. A teacher has to feel that. Of course, everyone may not be as lucky or as fortunate as he to roam around the world. But in our own limited spheres, we can still resonate with the practical aspects of law. If I am teaching labor law, at least I must visit one or two factories. If you are teaching land laws, you must at least know what is meant by Transfer of Property Act and your Land Acquisition Act or whatever associate acts you have today. You have to meet some people, some parties who have gone there. Otherwise, there is no point in teaching. Same is the case with lawyers also. It is not just a point of standing there with great ropes and then start talking all kinds of things. That's why if you have read, for example, Before Memory Fades by Nariman, Fali Nariman, he says his senior had taught him one valuable lesson, and that is, don't think as such about the brief, think about the case. How you write the brief, whether it looks grandiose or not, that is not the issue. The issue is, are you thinking about your case and conveying it properly in the court? And I am reminded of Vagsar here. If there are some successful lawyers who have gone out of RL Law College, after his generation, I'm not speaking of the older generations, when he joined RL Law College early on, if there are some such, sort of successful lawyers RL Law College has produced, they all must be thanking him for one thing, and that is to tell them how to stitch the plate. You ask the lawyers, they are all ready with arguments. But when that in the registry, the fellow says, what sort of plaint you have brought? You have not even stitched it properly. Look at this stitching. I still remember Vagsar teaching students practically in the classroom, bringing the needle and the thread and showing them, look, this is how you have to stitch. I have practically seen Havaldar sir taking students, along with Prasanna sir, taking students to different parts of the country as a tour, a guided tour, a study tour, showing them, if not anything, the Supreme Court from outside, if not from inside. How many of them, or how many of you have seen Supreme Court from outside? Nowadays, of course, travel has become easy. I am speaking of 10 years, 10, 12 years, or even 20 years ago. At that time, booking the train tickets and other things were such a horrible job. Only those two could do it. Professor B.G. Patil, I will remember him for some other things, sir. I am only trying to tell you, you should be quick on your feet, whether as a lawyer, as a student, as a teacher. And it is possible only when you acquire these practical experiences. Professor B.G. Patil, who has been associated with RL Law College for quite a long time, I'm sure he has laid the foundations for BA LLB students to understand Constitution in its perspective. And if there is any teacher who has understood the law of contract well, it is your Hegde sir. He has those things on his fingertips. Any small or big detail about contract law, you ask sir. He will be there to help you. And he does not require anything to refer to. Thing is, you will have to take benefit of all those, teachers like this. As Havaldar sir said, if you give mic to a teacher, it's an endless story. I really do not know, because sometimes I feel that whatever I say is irrelevant or irrelevant. But whatever it is, I pour my heart out and speak. I feel and speak. When I was invited by Havaldar sir, I had no idea what should I speak here. Because if you are going to an entirely new setup, new environment, you will think and then say, what do you want to say? But it is my own institution. All that I can do here is recall those good old days, that's all. With the new ones who have come here. So before I wind up, one small last anecdote, just to tell you how you should be quick on your feet. You all must be knowing about the legendary prowess of Justice V.R. Krishna here. his vocabulary, well, it will put the vocabulary of many other of his contemporaries and the present generations to pale, to shame. And when he was Supreme Court judge, this is of course an anecdote. No one really knows whether it has really happened. It's an anecdote. It's a rumor you can take. It was just after the fabled and famed Keshwananda Bharati verdict was out in 1973, before Mrs. Gandhi imposed emergency. Like her father, Indira Gandhi was also peeved as to what these courts are doing these days. For everything they say, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And now they are saying there is basic structure. What is this basic structure now and where is it? She was eager to know. Then her advisors told her, who else is better than Justice Krishna Iyer to explain this to you? You ask him. But it was not easy for politicians to mingle with judges. It is not easy these days also. There is always a social distance. So Mrs. Gandhi planned to meet Justice Krishna Iyer in a party, a common party where all the high dignitaries are involved. And there is no dearth of such parties in India. So she spotted Justice Iyer sitting lonely in a corner. She went there, sat in front of him. Justice Iyer realized that the danger is coming. So they chatted for a while, some social talk, and then Mrs. Gandhi asked him, Justice Iyer, can you tell me what is this basic structure you are talking about? Justice Krishna Iyer, without wasting a moment, said, Madam Prime Minister, it is an ace up the sleeve of the judiciary. Not a bit less, not a bit more. Nobody really understood what he meant. And least of all, Mrs. Gandhi. But you consider that phrase, it is an ace up the sleeve of the judiciary. In one expression, he summed up what both Justice H.R. Khanna and the celebrated lawyer Nani Palkhiwala had done over those 4 or 5 months of arguments and given us the new lease of life in India under Keshwananda Bharati's case. In one expression, it's an ace up the sleeve of the judiciary. So whenever the judiciary sees that rule of law is in danger, it will throw that ace. That is why, if you remember, Keshwananda Bharati is probably the most often quoted case in Constitution. There is no constitutional law teacher who can never, ever talk about this Keshwananda Bharati case at least once, wherever and in whatever place he meets anybody. Somewhere or the other, we will come back to Keshwananda Bharati. And another case, obviously, is ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla. Another important landmark judgment, that dissenting opinion of Justice H.R. Khanna, which finally came to lay the foundations of this great constitution that we have. Well, as I said, these are some of the things you must remember. I have given you these anecdotes just to resonate with whatever practical things I just mentioned. Some of them are hilarious, but some of them are serious. If you remember, for example, because of this Brandeis brief concept only, the horizons of Article 21 got expanded. The due process of law came to be recognized by Justice Krishna Iyer in Maneka Gandhi's case. Till then, we did not have due process of law in the Constitution. It is not there even explicitly now. All that we say is obviously that the personal liberty of a person can be taken away with a procedure established by law, or to put it in a negative way, no person shall be deprived of his life and liberty except in accordance with the procedure established by law. Justice Krishna Iyer infused in it fairness, justness, and reasonableness by reading due process of law, by saying that it is not just any procedure, but the procedure must be fair, just, and reasonable. Now, as budding lawyers, you should read these things. Read more and more of biographies and autobiographies of great lawyers, great judges, and there is no dearth of such things in the library of RL Law College. Read them. Whenever you are free, read them. You are not going to lose anything. If at all you are going to gain, you are going to gain some extra knowledge at no extra cost. Read them. Try to understand them. If you don't understand, ask your teachers. Ask people like Wag sir, Hegde sir, Havaldar sir, Prasanna sir. And if you still do not understand the practical aspects of that, go to people like Ganachari sir. Why him? Because I can see that he, I, and probably Havaldar sir are more or less of the same age. And if I can have that dynamic aptitude, vision towards my students, I don't see why he will not have the same towards his bigger lot of students here. He, along with his probably younger, sort of management members now, I'm sure sir will come out all out to help you. Don't forget, talk to them. Otherwise, you are spending 3 years or 5 years in a college is of no use. Just simply learning a couple of provisions in the law, reading 2 textbooks will not take you anywhere. If they are successful lawyers today, if we call them successful lawyers today, remember, they have done something more and over and above than the rest of them. If we say today, for example, Nani Palkhiwala is the greatest advocate this country has ever seen. See, he also must have studied the same CPC, same CRPC, same constitution. But it all lay in the application of the things. Why can't we think like him? We can, but we must have that will. And that will comes when you have that resources available. You have both the resources and environment here. All that should happen to you is just go and follow that. And this sort of message, I'm not that big to use that word actually, message. My request, this goes out to all those participants also who must be viewing this online, those who have participated in this Moot or otherwise as well. Please read. And before I wind up, one small point. Be humble. And this applies to everybody, not just lawyers or anybody, everyone. Be humble, be polite, but don't be slavish. Be firm, but don't be rude. You can bow to your seniors, but don't crawl. Dignity, self-worth are more important in life than anything else. There is no point in sacrificing that and then living a very cozy life. It makes no sense. But you will have to know that difference between them. Where is the line between politeness on the one hand and slavishness on the other? It is for you to decide that. And to do that, you will have to read. Just the other day, I was reading a quote, and the quote said like this: think before you speak, and read before you speak. Read before you think. Think before you speak, but read before you think. Reading will take you to greater heights. Right? With these few words, I thank you for having borne with me, tolerated me for 45 minutes. And thankful to all of you. It was indeed an overwhelming moment for me when you actually asked me to come. And that joy has continued till now. Ganachari sir, for having invited me to meet you, share my ideas with you, talk to you, spent quality time with all of you. It has been a really wonderful experience, and I thank all of you for having given me this opportunity. God bless.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words.
Now, for the feedback from the judges of this competition, I request Shri Gangadhar Haskeri Sir, Advocate, High Court of Karnataka, to share his views.
Good evening to one and all. Respected Chief Guest Sandeep Desai sir, respected Chairman S.V. Ganachari sir, Principal of the college Havaldar sir, and my dear students and all the professors of this great institution. It was indeed a great pleasure as well as privilege to judge the final round. I had a very good experience. The students were good, but in other sense, the chief guest addressed saying that there should be some politeness. Politeness was not that, and they should be submissive, and they should come with a preparation. They should come with the case law. In fact, I was carrying the case law of the Supreme Court, where in the Karnataka case, the Supreme Court has held. So I read the paragraph. My chief guest was with me. So chief guest says, please read the paragraph. We need some more preparation while arguing the case. It should be like the High Court and the Supreme Court. Some students argued very well, the petitioners or respondents. Some argued very well. The thing is that you should think you are arguing before the Supreme Court or High Court. The preparation should be little more, but according to me, this is one of the best moot court in the country. The arrangement of RL Law College was fantastic. I think this is the moot court, virtual moot court I am speaking of. Virtual moot court organization was fantastic. I thank the chairman wholeheartedly for conducting such a wonderful event in the country, not in the state, because I have been a moot court judge in many colleges as well as KSLU. According to me, this is the best moot court in virtual. I thank all the technical staff and all the officials, all the teachers of the RL Law College. And one more thing I want to suggest you, as a chief guest, I want to add, as chief guest suggested, be polite, be submissive. So don't be so humble. That is slavishness the chief guest has addressed. So you should convince the court in such a manner. When we ask the question, you should convince, please my lord, apology my lords, I don't know. You should not just misdirect saying that arguing in a different way. That will not lead you anywhere. You say yes or no. The bullet questions will be asked to you whether it is yes or no. Yes. So I thank the organizers and all the committee members for inviting me to judge the final round. Thank you. Thank you, Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I request the president of today's function, Shri S.V. Ganachari sir, Advocate, Chairman, Governing Council, RL Law College, to give the presidential remark.
Good evening, everybody. Respected Chief Guest of today's function, Professor Dr. Sandeep Desai, Principal Havaldar sir, Coordinator Moot Court Competition, Ashwini Parab, faculty members, High Court Advocate Gangadhar sir, other faculty members, non-teaching staff, and my dear students. It gives me immense happiness to be part of this function, sir. The words which we have heard from the guests, being an experienced, having served in our institution, spoken so high about our institution, and that guided us guided the students, guided the participants in a way they are required to lead their life in the future. As a lawyers or as an academicians, what they must possess. That is what was required to be told, because by putting their own efforts, students may become a great lawyers. They may become a great academicians. But what kind of the way of life they are required to lead, that has been guided by chief guest, and really I am thankful for that. I am really happy to and congratulate the principal and the other faculty members who could make this function such a grand success. In fact, there were several speculations were going on as to whether we should hold the function with this pandemic going on, and that you all courageously, accepting the challenge, have held this function in a better way than what would have been usually. And that this has been, I would say, that this has been a milestone for our RL Law College. I really congratulate everyone who has contributed a minimal to the maximum, and that this moot court competition could held so nicely. Now you all know that the moot courts have become indispensable part of the education system in the legal education. Those will give us an extraordinary skills that are required to be applied. The proposition of law has been settled in several cases, but those proposition of law which are required to be applied and how they are required to be understood so that they could be made applicable to our own cases, that we will learn while doing these all moot court competitions. The intention and the object of the moot court competition is to give a practical knowledge to our students, and that is required to be met with, and that today with the speech of our chief guest, I think that is met with. I will not take your much time because the participants are much awaiting for the results, and that the next program will be announcement of the results, and therefore I would not take much time of yours and to get the results of the moot court competition. I really thank everyone. I congratulate our principal for having secured Sandeep Desai to this function, which has really worked so nicely for us, and that I thank everyone over here to listen to us patiently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Competing at the highest level is not about winning. It's about active participation, courage, understanding, and nurturing your people and heart. Winning is the results. Now we come to the most awaited part of the function, announcement of prizes. So, I request Professor Ashwini Parab, Moot Court Coordinator, to announce the prizes.
A very good evening to all present here, both online as well as offline. We had a wonderful 3 days competition, 3 days event, starting with inaugural and 2 days of excellent mooting. We began with preliminary rounds and quarterfinal rounds yesterday, that is on 28th. And today we had semi-final as well as final round. Great mooters, good competition, excellent competition. But the challenge which we were facing was the 10 MK Nambyar national level moot court competition. The last 10 all had been physical competitions, offline competitions. And this year we were supposed to host this 11th MK Nambyar Memorial National Level Moot Court competition, which had to be virtual, online. And it was not possible without the excellent support that was provided by the technical team. We had no problems. Everything went so smooth. We had almost 5 to 6 days of testing before this, and it was only possible because of a senior professor, Shri G.M. Wag sir, Professor Satish Anikendi, Shri Kulkarni sir, Anand Kulkarni sir, and our student coordinator, Nitin. It wouldn't have been possible without them. And apart from them, the constant support and encouragement and freedom given by our chairman, S.V. Ganachari sir. Thank you so much, sir. And the guidance given by principal sir, and everything went on very smoothly. And now we are just at the last step, that is of completion of this event, that is announcement of prizes. As we know, we have total prizes worth 80,000 rupees in various categories which are awarded. In addition to that, last year, a new prize was instituted by Advocate Ashok N. Poddar of Belgaum, and the interest amount, that is, he had donated 1 lakh rupees, and the interest amount on that sum is given as another additional prize this year onwards, that is given to the best mooter. So we had till 10th MK Nambyar 5 prizes, but this year we have additional 1 prize, that is 6 prizes for this entire event. So let me, without wasting any time, announce the prizes. The best memorials prize goes to, or is basically cash prize of rupees 10,000 and a trophy. It goes to Team I, that is Central University of South Bihar. Best speaker female, cash prize of rupees 10,000 and a trophy goes to C2, that is Miss SRN Manushri from Shastra, deemed to be University, Tamil Nadu. Best speaker male goes, that is a cash prize of rupees 10,000 and a trophy. It goes to C1, that is C Balkrishnan from Shastra, deemed to be University, Tamil Nadu. And I just mentioned some time back, that is the additional, we have introduced a new prize, that is Shri Ashok N. Poddar Best Mooter Prize, which includes cash prize of rupees 5,270 rupees. It goes to C1, that is C Balkrishnan from Shastra, deemed University. Now coming to the winners and the runners-up. The winning team has scored 126.8 marks out of 200, and the runners-up team has scored 102.6 marks out of 200. The winners will get cash prize of rupees 30,000 and a trophy, and the runners-up would get cash prize of rupees 20,000 and a trophy. So the winning team is Team A, Symbiosis Law School, Pune, Joshua Chettiar, Yamika Khanna, and Aditi Unyal. Team K is the runner-up team, that is Government Law College, Mumbai, Anshuman Singh, Prathas Shah, and Mrudula Bhatt. Congratulations to all the winners as well as all the participants. Thank you very much. So we will be sending the trophies by courier to all the teams, and the cash prize will be transferred to their respective accounts after the competition. We would contact them for further details. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. We heartily congratulate all the winners and also appreciate the efforts of all the participants in this competition.
The roots of all goodness lie in the soil of gratitude. Now, I call upon Mr. Rohit Latur, Moot Court Secretary, to propose the vote of thanks.
As it is rightly quoted by Oprah Winfrey, be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never ever end having enough. Good evening, one and all present here. I, Rohit Latur, Moot Court Secretary, RL Law College, deem it my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the careless management. Thank the president of today's function, Advocate Sri S.V. Ganachari sir, for presiding over the function. Thank you, sir. I thank the management members of Karnataka Law Society Belagavi and Governing Council RL Law College for your kind support. Thank you. All the moot
Thank you, Rohit.
Now, I request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem. With this, we come to the end of 11th MK Nambyar Memorial National Level Moot Court Competition. Thank you, one and all.